This is video 1 in my series on how to make sourdough bread the easy, simple, non-technical way. It's much easier than what people make it out to be. There's no need for special ratios and formulas and special stuff. You can produce good bread without hardly any work. So this is my sourdough starter right now. It's ready to be fed, but it's still pretty active. I used it yesterday. You can see in it lots of bubbles, but it's ready. It's moist and it's fairly wet. Now, some people will measure out flour to water at a 1-to-1 ratio. I don't go there. I don't do that. I just dump in some flour, and I roughly look in there, and I go, okay, yeah, it's kind of cover it up with flour. Get some water, just pour it in, and I'm aiming for, I don't know, thick muffin batter consistency. It doesn't really matter though. You can have a dough thickness of a dough if you want to knead it in, or you can have it runny like pancake batter. Won't really matter. Given it only matters if you're going to follow some of the recipes online. That will be more technical and aiming for like bread that you could sell. This is not what I'm aiming for. Now, as far as what kind of flour to use, I'm using Canadian whole wheat flour, which is not truly whole grain. It's had some of the germs stripped off of it. I have used United States whole grain flour, and it doesn't rise as well, but it still does work. I still make quite an edible loaf. Now you can see as I start to see now, it's quite a bit thicker than it was, but by the time it's done rising, it'll be wet again. I do this in the afternoon usually, and then by evening I can mix together the bread. I was saying about the whole grain flour. If I was in the U.S., I'd probably do my bread with half whole wheat, half white, if I really wanted a good rise. Also, if you're starting a new starter, the easiest way to do that, maybe I'll do another video on it sometime, but the easiest way to do that is just follow one of the other videos online, and if you're not sure if it's good, add some yeast to your bread. Just add maybe, if you're using the recipe I use, add maybe 2 teaspoons of yeast, maybe a tablespoon. It doesn't need very much, because the starter will do some of the work, but then you'll get a loaf that's edible as you're trying to gain understanding of how to work with starter. And I just cover this up. All I do in the morning, in the evening I mix together the bread. The next morning I bake the bread. You can also feed this in first thing in the morning, mix together the bread at about 3 in the afternoon, and then cook the bread for supper. That's the 2 ways I figured out how to use it, but maybe there's some other ways. Feel free to ask questions in the comments.